Living abroad is all daisies and roses until it no longer becomes daisies and roses. At the time of making this video, I've been living abroad for just shy of 2 years now. Over the next 30 minutes or less, I'm going to be giving you the exact 2 years worth of mistakes, lessons, and learnings that I have made in my journey so you don't have to. All right, I'm going to be going over every single thing that I've done wrong, what things I've done that has actually really helped me to kind of propel myself as a travelpreneur, as I call it, thus far, and what my overall wisdom and kind of reflections would be looking back if I could choose to go and start again. So for those of you who are new, I have been living abroad for just under 2 years. I actually made the risk to go and move abroad, quit my 9 to 5 job in central London and move all the way to Bangkok, Thailand in February 2024. So that's about a year, 18 months. I want to say maybe a bit longer than that. Since that time, my life has completely changed. And whenever people ask me, Ty, how was it living abroad? I just tell people in short, I genuinely feel like I've had 10 years worth of life experience in the past year and a half alone. Moving abroad has taught me everything from being independent, managing money, how to make money, how to conduct yourself, how to be more open-minded, how to be more thoughtful, how to be more aware, right? What my greater purpose is, you can say, like, why am I even here today? Why are you even watching me? What have I been brought here to do? You know, I've learned so many lessons in my journey moving abroad, and I'm really, truly grateful for every single mistake, lesson, and challenge that I've faced in my journey thus far. So just to give you a recap of where my journey started and where I am now, right? I moved abroad in February 2024, like I said. The reason why I decided to go and move abroad is because I was working a job in central London, and I'd been working in that career, working in a media company, one of the largest in the UK. I was working there for a good year and a half. And it wasn't until I actually asked my manager for a salary promotion. I asked my manager, can I get a pay rise? Can I get a pay increase? I've been working hard for the last 2 years, doing every single thing that I'd been told to do. Actually went above and beyond and pitched my own job role to the past CEO in the company that I was working for. I got a salary increase. What 21-year-old at the time gets a 12K salary increase and goes from 20K a year working as a marketing executive to creating his own role, his own job role out of thin air, right? Within a span of 12 months. That's me with a hand tattoos, right? So I was doing all these things and progressing quite quickly through my career. It got to a point where I asked my manager, can I have a salary rise? Can I have a pay increase, right? Because I've been doing so much work over the past year or two to help you and your business, your company make more money. What about me? Can I get a 10% salary increase? Long story short, my manager said no. And it was at that point in time I understood that I have to take life into my own hands and stop waiting for what I could be given and start going and earning and making, and I'm starting to go and find a way to get paid myself on my own back, which is the value that I could provide. So that was my life. I quit my job, booked a one-way ticket to Thailand in hopes of starting again. Lived in Thailand for a whole year, 12 months in Thailand. I stayed in Thailand from February 2024 till March 2025. Then I went to Brazil. I lived in Rio de Janeiro for about 3 to 4.5 months. Can't remember the exact amount of time. And then after Rio, I left Rio de Janeiro, went to Miami for a week, Caribbean for 2 weeks, came back to the UK for 1 day to see my mum. Then I lived in Portugal for 6 weeks, which is crazy, with my business partner, locked in, rented out an office in the heart of the city of Lisbon, right? I was there just locking in for about 4 to 6 weeks, right? Then I moved back to Thailand for 1 month, and now I'm currently sitting in Vietnam. I've been in Vietnam for 2 weeks. One thing that I tell you, if you're planning on going to move abroad, is you really need to ask yourself, what is it you want to do in life, man? So many people go and move abroad because they simply just want to escape, and they simply want to just leave and get, find a way out, find an exit plan, an exit route out of the current life that they're living, because they don't enjoy living their life. People don't enjoy working a 9 to 5, getting bossed around, getting told what to do, how much time to have for lunch, and how many days you have off on the weekend. And I completely understand that. And if I'm being honest with you, that is exactly what I did. I moved abroad because I wanted to escape. I wanted to quit my old life. I wanted a way out. I was like, okay, cool. I don't like my 9 to 5 job. This is not going to work. I don't like living in my mum's house and have my mum do my laundry when I'm a grown adult. This isn't going to work. I want to make more money, but I can't make it in my job. Okay, I need to go out. I need to escape. I hated living in the UK. I always grew up in an area which wasn't really the safest, right? So I was never really in it, but I was definitely around, certain things that I just didn't really want to be around, to be honest with you. Now I can fully say with confidence, after moving abroad and being able to sustain myself for the last 2 years almost, right, that I moved off of incorrect foundations. I moved off of incorrect foundations from a mental standpoint and from a physical standpoint as well. From a physical standpoint, I moved off of incorrect foundations. I moved off of quicksand because I moved abroad. If you go back to my first video, I'm very open and honest about my journey, right? I moved abroad when I had about 4 to 5 grand GBP saved up to my name. That was the wrong thing to do. Obviously, I saved myself because I was able to make money online by learning a high income skill such as online sales and content, but we're not talking about that. But my point being is that me choosing to go and move abroad, living off of savings, is only committing to giving myself future pace anxiety in the near future. What do I mean by that? If I'm going to go and move abroad living off savings and I'm going to go and arrive in Thailand, I'm going to be posting up, yeah, things are great. I'm in Thailand. Whoop-de-woo, life's great. But it was hard, man. It was actually very difficult. And a lot of my first year living in Thailand, so I'd say the first maybe 4.5 to 5 months living in Thailand, I had a lot of anxiety. I've never really spoken about it. I had a lot of anxiety. The reason I had a lot of anxiety is because every single day you're just thinking, how's this going to work? How am I going to make money? I don't want to go home. Bills are coming. And it's not, you don't feel good about yourself, man. Obviously, you can make the argument that, yeah, pressure makes diamonds and, you know, you needed to be there. You needed to feel like that. You needed that pressure, which I did. Because right now, on the back of that, a year, almost 2 years later, I built an online business. I'm able to travel to wherever I really want to go in the world, right? And I have complete freedom. I don't have the same worries or struggles that I once did. But in the same breath, in hindsight, I wouldn't have moved abroad in the exact same position that I was in. From a physical standpoint, you're only setting yourself up to have an unstable mind because you think you're moving to a stable environment. By me choosing to move to Thailand, let's say I didn't go to Thailand and I went to Colombia, right? It's the same thing. No matter what my environment and my external reality looks like, inside my head, every day that I woke up, because I did experience this, you just feel anxious. You just feel on edge. You just feel like you have to go and do things and and you need that. Don't get it twisted. For me, waking up now, I still feel that burning fire inside of me to go and make something, to go and do something. How can I go make money for you? I'm already operating on that certain frequency. But my point being is that when you're operating from a certain frequency where you don't have a stable mind, and you don't have a stable mind because you're in a new country, you don't know the way of the land, you don't know the way of this country, you don't know the visa situation, you don't know nothing about nothing because it's new. And you're also battling off the fact that, you know, you don't have stable finances. Every day you're going out spending money, you're getting the ostrich effect because you're thinking, damn, I'll spend way too much money. You don't check your bank account. It's not a good environment. You're not setting yourself up with the right foundations to really sustain yourself abroad. I've met so many people in Thailand, in Brazil, every place I've moved to over the last 2 years. And there's always people who are literally in stage one. And that's what I call broke man's travel. I've been there myself. Stage one, where you're living off savings. You haven't found a way to make money online. You're just kind of struggling. You have to remember, guys, social media is not real life. So yeah, you might see someone living in a high rise. You might see someone doing A, B, and C. But at the end of the day, that person's still just struggling or having more struggles than you behind closed doors, if they don't have their shit stripped. So from a physical standpoint, I definitely feel like I was a bit premature. I wouldn't say irrational, but impulsive. I've always struggled with being a bit overly impulsive in my life. And that's something that did definitely bite me in the bum for the first 2 months, first 3 to 6 months living abroad. Now, from a mental standpoint, what do I mean? If you don't move off of the right foundations, you're still going to be suffering from the same symptoms. You can't put a plaster over an open knee. What I mean by that is if you go and move abroad, but you're not confident in yourself, you haven't mastered your mind, you're not confident as an individual, you don't know how to hold eye contact, you don't have a high sense of self-worth, you don't believe that you're deserving or worthy of having a certain lifestyle, you're going to bring all of those negative traits into this new country. Just because you see me in Rio living it up, going to these parties in Pedro de Sal living it up, if I didn't have a strong mind, it doesn't matter what my external looks like, it doesn't matter that I'm in Rio speaking Portuguese, if up here I don't feel good. And I feel like not many people in like the travel space, or people who are, you know, doing an online business, traveling the world, whatever, are really talking about the actual mental strength you need to not just go and travel, but stay and travel, because it takes its toll on you. Sometimes it can be quite, you know, frustrating, challenging. You can feel quite burnt out from a mental standpoint, just from the type of lifestyle that you've chosen to go and live. So in short, you really need to make sure that you have the right mindset, because I'm telling you now, moving abroad is not for everybody. Having to navigate a new country where you don't know the language, where you feel already left out because, you know, you're not part of the culture, you don't have any friends there, you're spending 95% of your time alone. It's not for everyone. Next thing, this year alone, I've visited 7 different countries. I've been to Thailand, then Brazil, then US, I went to Miami. Then I went to the Caribbean, I went to St. Kitts. Then I went back to the UK for a day. Then I came back to Portugal for 6 weeks, then Thailand again, and then Vietnam. And at the time of making this video, by the end of the month, I'm probably going to be in a new country, or in a new continent, so let's say, but you can wait for that. And one thing I've realized, right, is if I'm being all the way honest with you, I feel like for so long, I've lived in 3 different continents this year alone. Someone might look at that and be like, yeah, that's sick, Ty, you're living it up, man, But there's 2 main things that I think I've realized about myself at this point in time, you know, reflecting on the last year and the last 2 years. The first thing that I reflected on is that I feel like I'm tying myself to the old goal. When I first moved abroad, if you go to the first video that's on this channel, it's me documenting my life. I want to see if I can make it out the UK, And I feel like the goal that I had then was to leave the UK, not have to go back, be independent, make my own money, and travel the world. 2 years later, I feel like I'm still chasing the same goal that I've already passed through with flying college. I've already proven to myself that I can sustain myself abroad. I've already proven to myself that I can go and be independent. I've already proved all of the things to myself that I set out and I intended to do when I first left back last year in February 2024. I feel like I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm repeating the same chapter of the book rather than going on to the next chapter. I keep going to these new countries and hoping to get a new buzz, get a new feeling. But really and truly, after a while, it kind of does the same thing to me. I feel like it's because I'm holding myself to the same goals that I had way back when. Back in 2023, we're almost in 2026 now. 2 years has gone past. And this is not me kind of like complaining or being like, oh, like, I haven't done anything, because I've come so far in my life. I've really overcome a lot of mental challenges behind the scenes that you lot wouldn't even seen or have known behind content. I've proven everything I needed to prove to myself. And now I'm at a stage where it's like, damn, everything you set out to do when you first went to Thailand, you've already done. So what is the new goal? What is the new vision? What are you doing now almost, you know? And I feel like I'm at a point of reflection. You know, we're in Q4 2025, the new year started in less than 2 months. And I'm like, damn, do I really want to continue almost not living life on repeat, but living life on repeat? There's only so many more countries that you can go to until that buzz kind of wears off. That brings me on to my next point, which is where, if I'm being all the way honest with myself, I feel like me traveling to all of these different countries, looking to find something new in a different country, and really and truly, I was just trying to find out more things about myself as a person. Every single time I move to a new country, in a new environment, and in a new routine, I find out more about myself. What type of life do I want to live? And it's almost like you just learn and you carve out a little bit more of the book of Ty Veli, and I'm able to understand myself as a person that bit more. And I feel like it's getting to a point now where it's like, I'm traveling to all of these different countries looking to find something new. But I think maybe it's because I need to sit down and reflect inwardly and actually come to terms with the fact that I'm maybe missing something within myself. And I think that thing that I am missing is being at peace, being still. I feel like I've got so accustomed to this travel lifestyle, staying here, there, and everywhere, up and moving and going, that it's just become my norm, which is not even from a physical standpoint of like, oh, I'm here to, you know, be on the beach every day or be at this beach top to get all of that. I genuinely feel like within myself, it's almost like every time I move to a new country, it's almost like I'm kind of running away from something that I haven't really wanted to reflect and be honest and open enough with myself to actually realize. So the next place that I move to, you'll see soon, I intend on staying there for the next 6 months to a year. And it's to actually be uncomfortable. And I feel like I've become so comfortable traveling that this no longer fulfills me anymore. Obviously, I'm going to keep traveling and moving to different places as and when I want, but having a base, having somewhere where I can call home, fully integrating myself into a culture and saying, yeah, this is where I live, this is my home. I feel like that's what I've been missing for so long, man. And it's actually funny, when I'm talking about this, there's something else that's coming up in the back of my mind, which is the family element. A lot of people don't realize just how much of a sacrifice you're going to make when you decide to go and move abroad. Moving abroad is all good and fun when you're up and everyone's looking at you and everyone thinks you're the man because you're in this new country and that buzz is there, you're in a new culture, all this type of stuff. But what about when it gets lonely? You know, what about when you're spending 7 days and 6 days out of the 7 you're by yourself? What about when 95% of the time you're just alone? What about when you're trying to immerse yourself into that new country, but all of these people are looking at you like you're just a gringo, like we're just a tourist, and we're trying to assimilate into that new place? What about when, you know, it's your mum's birthday? What about when your family get together and come to your mum's house or your granddad's house and have like a family get together and you're the only one missing out? And because you've been abroad for so long, where normally whenever they'd have a get together, they'd call you so you could talk to the family. Now they're just used to it. So they don't even give you a call. They don't even try and bring you in. These are things that you need to understand is going to come with the lifestyle. It is not all daisies and roses. I wouldn't trade anything that I've done since I left the UK. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Every good, great, or challenge or lesson that I've learned or challenge that I've been through has all had a net positive effect on my life. But in saying that, at the same time, I'm now realizing so much more about myself as an individual. What type of person do I want to be? What do I want to be known for? What do I want to stand for? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Where do I want to be? When am I going to, you know, when do I want to build a family? When do I want to do all of these things? Just a lot of things that I'm always constantly thinking about in this forever game that we just call life, you know? And if you are someone who's thinking of going to move abroad, ask yourself, are you traveling for a season? And if the answer is no, then what is your reason? Are you traveling for a season because you just want to move abroad and, you know, just go make some money online and go to Bali? Are you traveling abroad because you just want to have a couple months living in Thailand or going through Southeast Asia or networking, which is fine if the answer is yes? Or are you traveling to actually go and build a new life for yourself so you never have to go back? Because for me, I'll be honest with you, what started out for me is like, I just want to travel for a little bit. I live abroad for a little while. Now has become, this is actually my life. This is how I want to live my life. Not to say that I want to be going to a new country every 3 weeks, but I'm not moving back to the UK. Like, I'm 100% sure, and I'm not going to be moving back to the UK. So therefore, I'm not traveling for a season. This is my life. So now I need to be looking at the global world and thinking, where do I want to base myself? How do I want to live? What type of lifestyle do I want to have? I've visited all these countries. I've dipped my toes in the water. Where do I actually want to go and call home? And that's what I'm going to be focusing on building for myself over the next six to 12 months, and building my own home. Still being able to go and travel to these different parts of the world and go and visit some clients here, or go and meet some of my friends over there. Well, that's whatever. But where do I actually want to call home? I'm going to go and give you some practical advice as well that you should definitely take on into your life if you are intending on going to travel or leave the UK, either or, over the next 3 to 6 months. First thing that I will tell you is that as soon as you arrive in this new country, it's going to be very easy for you to slip out of the habits that were once normal to you. When I first moved abroad, or before I moved abroad, I was quite good at finances, checking my bank balance, doing all these type of things, and just having a good relationship with money. When I moved abroad to Thailand, for the first 6 months, my relationship with money was so poor, because I felt like, not just a money situation, I genuinely lost a lot of good personal habits that I'd spent the previous 3 or 4 years building up for myself. Having a solid routine, having a good relationship with your finances, checking in on family, all these sorts of things that you don't think you have to think about. But if you don't think about it, you'll lose it. And before you know it, you'll just slip yourself into an early stage of a rut whilst you're in this new country. Trust me, from experience, I've got so many friends, members inside my network, do it in Mexico right now, Colombia, Thailand, Bali, Vietnam, wherever, you name it, right? And everyone says the same thing, that it's like, if you don't have a solid routine and have good habits, you will quickly lose those habits and lose your routine when you move to this new country. It's not a joke. Something else that I would say to you, right? If you are also looking to go and move abroad, just go and improve your life. It's not even about moving abroad. It's not even about none of that stuff, right? Be in a rush to go and improve yourself, but stop being in a rush to be perfect. If I look at my journey and reflect again on the last 2 years, I feel like one thing that I've done, which has been good, and another thing I've done, which is the not so good, is that one thing I've done is I always live by the quote, success loves speed. I always move quickly. If there's something that I want to do, or a change that I know I need to make in my life, I would do it. Sometimes I do it even a bit too fast, right? But we're not going to be here forever. Like, you do realize that, like, we are not going to be here on this earth forever. You cannot spend 3 months staying in the same situation, knowing that you need to make a decision that you're just too scared to make for whatever reason. Like, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Time is not real, but you need to understand what I'm saying. You can't afford to just stay stuck and in a problem state. You need to always go and solve that problem. If there's a change you need to make, or you need to move, or you need to go somewhere, you need to do something, do it and act immediately as soon as you know what you need to do. But the second thing that I would say, something that's not always benefited me, is always feeling like I have to be perfect, bro. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, sometimes I always feel like, damn, I always have to be perfect and I always have to have my life all the way figured out, but I don't. I'm 23 years young, and I need to tell myself this more. I'm 23 years old, bro. I don't need to have my whole life figured out. I need to know what I want to do. I need to be working hard and progressing every single day, which I'm going to be doing, which is normal. I don't need to be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. Words like perfect and normal don't exist. And I feel like that's something that's definitely been a big challenge for me, is thinking that I have to just be perfect, when really and truly I've now realized that I don't need to always be perfect. I just need to be me. You just need to be yourself, and who you actually are authentically as yourself. Just be you, bro. You know what I'm saying? For me, I just need to be myself, and every single thing is gonna work out because it's me. Another thing that I've learned is, this is a point that my friend told me that he got from a Nipsey Hussle song. Shout out Nipsey Hussle, right? And it's that it's in you, not on you. So what's in you, they can't take away. And it's so true. You need to understand who you are and what kind of strength you already hold and possess. I already know now, after being on this journey for so long, I know exactly what my strengths are. I know exactly what levers I need to pull to be able to increase or improve my life in any single metric. I need to just know myself. Once you know yourself, you then become grounded. But you'll never be able to truly understand and know yourself as a person until you stop trying to be a perfect version of yourself. Perfection doesn't exist. So yeah, man, I just had to make this video, man. I hope this helped. I know I dropped a lot of value inside of here as well, and I hope you guys were able to take it on that. To me, like I said, just to recap, any single thing you want to do in your life is possible. You can do it. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. And it's meant to be hard. That's why not everyone's doing the same thing you're doing. That's why not everyone has the same goals or visions like you do. As I always say to my friends as well, a word to the wise is sufficient. So if you're wise enough to take on just one bit of information that I've given you, or one gem that I've dropped inside this video, it will be sufficient to make a positive change in your life. Yeah. And until that one, subscribe for more content. See you in the next one. Let's go.